Welcome to the news and why it matters. A little Friday show here. Coming back on Monday, we're going to have the whole crew back. Glenn will be back. Sarah Gonzalez will be back. So it'll be lots of fun. Hopefully Jason won't be back. So it'll be a great show. Joining me, of course, Pat Gray and Jason Buttrill. Thank you, guys. What's your top story, Pat?
The wall. Border wall. Will it be built or won't it be built?
Oh, it's going to be fine, Pat.
Oh, yeah. Everything's going to be great.
It shall be built.
I think they're going to build more wall than there is border.
Just double up in some areas.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, Jason.
Dallas Cowboys will advance into the next round of the playoffs after tomorrow evening. That will be the biggest story.
It will be fun.
For Monday.
I am looking forward to a Cowboys-Eagles NFC Championship game.
That would be amazing.
It'd be fun.
I don't think either of them is going to happen, but it would still be fun.
The workplace might not be safe that day.
I'd be by myself.
No, my story is spy games, only with fake spies.
And I'm going to go the Electoral College. They want to change this already. Democrats, this is a big priority for Democrats, and there's some reason to believe they could actually get it done. First, let's start with Pat.
Well, the border wall in the beginning was going to be built across the whole border. I mean, that's the way it was kind of sold, wasn't it?
The entire border.
Entire border. We need the wall. This is a long time coming. We're going to build it, whatever it takes, and Mexico's going to pay for it. Then it became, there's a lot of terrain and rivers and dirt in the way. And so we can't build the whole wall, but we're going to build a lot of it. Then it was, maybe half, and then it was maybe, a third. I don't know. Now it's a block and a half or something. And we're not really going to build anything new. We're going to fix some of the, we're going to mend. And we're going to shore up some of the stuff that is already there.
Who's going to pay for it?
And Mexico's going to pay. Well, no, okay. The USMCA trade deal will pay for this. No, A, it's not in operation yet, and B, that's not what we were promised. So anyway, Trump actually backed off his pledge when this whole shut down the government thing happened, and then he got firm again. And so now the Democrats have dug in, and the president is dug in, and somebody's going to have to cave in over this. Is it going to be the Democrats? I don't think so, because they think they have the American people on their side, and according to polls, I guess they kind of do.
I think it's a question of pain tolerance, really. I mean, how long
before you cave?
But right, and I still, we were talking about this on radio earlier, and I don't know. I don't think Trump can cave on this. He's already tested the waters when he backtracked. What was that? A month ago or so ago? And then there's just a huge backlash, and he had to reverse his, because he was already backing off. He was already getting that statement to say, well, yeah, it is like Lindsey Graham said, and it's a metaphor. And which actually, come to think about it, it's easier to get Mexico to pay for a metaphor. That's a lot cheaper than an actual physical wall.
It is.
But he saw that. Okay, yeah.
But we also know. Let's address that. It was not a metaphor.
No.
It was an actual physical structure between us and Mexico.
Not only did he actually describe in detail the height, the 30 feet, he said it's 40 a couple times, but mostly 30 feet, and he said it was concrete. They went through all the details, and then they built the first prototypes.
Prototypes, yeah.
I mean, we saw what they thought it was going to look like, and now we're like, oh, well, actually, it's slats. It's a steel slats.
And slats aren't really a wall.
No, I mean,
by my definition,
there are some things that can make them more effective. Like, for example, you can actually look through and see on the other side. There are some reasons to think that would be a good option. It's just not what was promised, and we all know that. Although I know Pat and I for sure, because we promised we would eat our underwear if it was actually built. I certainly never believed Mexico was paying for it, but never believed the wall was actually coming. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, if he can, I have such a low expectation for Washington in general.
Me too.
That I never believed.
But this is hilarious. This is $5 billion, which no party would even blink at for something else. Oh, you want to build a crazy loop-de-loop tunnel underneath New York that's going to cost $20 billion
for gerbils?
Yeah, for gerbils. Only for the gerbils.
Yeah, we'll
high-speed monorail for gerbils.
No rats.
No mice.
But absolutely on the gerbils. Yeah, we can get that done.
It's going to cost $20 billion, but who cares? For the gerbils.
Yeah.
$5 billion for security. They won't even consider it.
And this is why I think the Democrats are in a position that they absolutely adore right now, because They know the only reason, you're right, $5 billion, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. And they're not building the whole wall anyway. I mean, it will help in certain areas, right, where this is. But generally speaking, it's not going to make a huge impact on illegal immigration either. The thing that they love about it is they know how important it is to Trump. So they can exploit that. They can exploit that and say, all right, we're going to sit back. They're going to sit back and do nothing. We're going to sit back and let you suffer until you give us whatever we want.
Yeah.
Because, Trump has already said on the record, this is my shutdown. I will take responsibility for it. I want border security. Give it to me. As you pointed out, Pat, the polls are not good on this issue nationally. It's a 60-37 opposed on a wall. It's only, I think it's 79-16 among Republicans, but the other groups are complete disasters. So it's popular with the base, but not popular overall. So the Democrats can sit here and say, you know what? Let me give you a nightly update on every newscast where we're going to show 10 families who are not getting paid from their government jobs, and we're going to say it's your fault, and then we're going to play the video over and over and over again of you saying it's your fault. They love this idea because...
They do. And you know what? The money was never the issue for me anyway.
No.
When he said Mexico was going to pay for it, I knew Mexico wasn't going to pay for it, but it was okay because as long as it gets built, that's something that's worth doing.
Yeah.
Despite the cost. Let's say it costs $20 billion. Who doesn't think it's worth our national security to shore up our border for $20 billion? If it was $30 billion, I would do it. And we should pay for it. But if you wanted Mexico to pay for it, there are ways that you could get that done by, you could put a tax on all the money that's sent back home from here to Mexico. You could raise the money easily that way. And then you can claim Mexico has paid for it. Instead, we've kind of caved on that completely.
Yeah, I mean, and the USMCA, which is the new trade agreement, is almost identical to NAFTA.
Very
close.
close.
It's almost the exact same thing. There were
With
some
a cooler acronym.
Yeah, right.
Minus the A.
Yes. I know you love the USMCA. There are some improvements as far as modernizing trade, which were necessary and would have happened anyway. There are some improvements and some bad things in there, but generally speaking, it's basically the same deal. We're not getting anything. No, it's not getting, the wall is not getting paid for by that thing. And as you point out, it's not even in action yet. I think when you look at this as if you step back and you say, how do we know whether the Democrats believe they're in a good position? The easiest way is to quantify it this way. Right now, Donald Trump is floating to Democrats that he will give them DACA, the Deferred Action for Children, whatever the heck it is. It's basically the dreamers, right? The dreamers who have been here, they were children when they came over here, and oh gosh, we got to help them. And it's the thing that Obama said he could not do without a law passed, then did it anyway, unconstitutionally. And then Trump has come in and let it go for a long time, threatened to get rid of it, but it's still in place with court rulings and stuff in the middle. But he's saying, I'll give you the law. I'll give you the law. You take DACA. We'll sort that one out forever, and you give me $5 billion in wall funding. The Democrats are saying, no, that's not enough. We want more for your wall funding. 1 year ago, that's it, in January of 2018, the Democrats for DACA offered full border wall funding. The entire thing done for DACA. Now he's asking for only $5 billion, which is like a quarter or less of the cost, and they're saying no. That's how much they think their position has improved. And there is an argument out there that the biggest political mistake of Donald Trump's presidency is not taking that deal back then. Because he would have had the wall off the table. He wouldn't have had to deal with it for the election. He could have said, it still wouldn't have been the wall initially talked about, but it would have been a significant portion of it.
It would have been something better than we're talking about right now.
We still wouldn't be eating our underwear, let's be clear, because we said 90% to get there. But it still would have been something significant. His supporters could say, see, he delivered on that promise. And I don't know that the supporters really would have cared about DACA. I think there's a real weird signal you're sending, an incentive to people. If you're saying, hey, come over here and you'll be excused later on from being here illegally, that's not a good thing. And it's not what I thought was coming out of this administration.
It's the game we played for decades, though.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. If they would have floated this in the campaign, that, we'll accept DACA,
oh my God.
They would have worked. They would have gone the way of Marco Rubio. And that's exactly who did float an idea just like that, was Marco Rubio, who got destroyed for being weak on the border. Lindsey Graham, same type of thing. It wasn't always the wall; it was sometimes other security measures, but they were absolutely in for that. And Jeb Bush, the DACA thing was a big Jeb Bush pitch. It was a big Jeb Bush pitch. Now we're talking about giving it to them for what, 1/10 of the promised wall?
Yeah.
The Democrats see that and realize we can wait this guy out.
And once again, they're controlling the rhetoric. They've turned to this thing, and it seems to be kind of successful. It's immoral to build a wall.
Right.
What? It's immoral to build a wall? What are you even talking about? If you have a fence between your property and your neighbor's, is that an immoral act? No, you're trying to keep order in the neighborhood, right? You're trying to keep your kids from getting hit by cars, keep your dogs inside the yard. There's a million reasons to build some security around where you live. How much more important is it for a sovereign nation of 325 million people to have some sort of protection?
But who on the right is making these arguments that we are right now? No one is actually explaining anything.
I know.
I mean, literally, you could take one guy to say, look, all a wall does is show the people that want to come in the correct places where they can come in.
Yeah.
That's really
Big,
all you have
beautiful doors.
to say.
That's all you need to do.
It directs you to the door.
Right. I mean,
That's it.
and your example on the house is like you could have the best friend in the world. That's your neighbor. That doesn't mean you're.
That doesn't mean you don't want a fence.
Right. Yeah. You still want it to be protected. I'll give you two people though who are making the argument. This is pretty interesting. The National Border Patrol Council president Art Del Cueto was at the briefing room talking with the president. Here's what he said.
I just want to talk about some of those criminals that Border Patrol agents apprehend on a daily basis. We're talking about murderers, rapists, people that commit very serious crimes in this country. ICE has been doing an amazing job in deporting a lot of these people back to their countries. Unfortunately, once we deport these people will not stay in their country. These criminal aliens that have been released from jail, that have been deported, will come right back into the United States. However, if we had a physical barrier, if we had a wall, we would be able to stop that.
And notably, I mean, Art Del Cueto is from Kazakhstan, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think
Kazakhstan.
so. Yeah, and clearly hates Hispanics.
Hates Hispanics,
Clearly,
for sure.
right?
Big Hispanic hater, as is Hector Garza, who I believe is from Croatia.
I think he's Serbian.
He's Serbian.
He's Serbian.
I'm sorry. He's the VP of the National Border Patrol Council. Watch.
It has nothing to do with political parties. You all got to ask yourself this question. If I come to your home, do you want me to knock on the front door or do you want me to climb through that window? We fully support the president and all his efforts to secure our nation's borders.
It just makes sense.
Yeah, of course, right?
You know?
Of course. We all know this. This is a dumb political issue. Again, the Democrats basically supported this,
10 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was 9 years ago.
Glenn sent me down to the border, I think a couple of years ago, to see what was going on. I went down there with Congressman Gohmert. And I can totally feel, I mean, you could feel it was very palpable, the Border Patrol's frustration with it, because there's literally nothing they could do. There was nothing they could do. So this is why it's so bad and why you need the wall, because all the people that are trying to cross illegally, they cross over, and the policy is, and it's so overran, so taxed, is that they get processed by the Border Patrol, they get put in buses or vans, they get taken to a processing facility where they're then given basically an order to appear in court at a certain date and time. Mm-hmm. But they can't put them anywhere. There's nowhere for them to put them because there's way too many.
And they're released.
They're released. Mm-hmm. They're either released to family members or sometimes not even that. Just, hey, make sure you make it back to court. So you were trying to get in here to break the law. Now we're assuming you're going to follow the law and come back here at a certain date and time. No, they're off to the winds after that. That's what the Border Patrol's like, look, what do you want us to do? There's nothing we can do. Actually, the state of Texas was really, really good at this, and they understood that. So the state of Texas has actually deployed their own DPS officers. They posted them, and they're actually on the rivers. So they're going back and forth in these high-speed boats. And the moment they see them attempting to try and cross the river, they turn them back. So then they can't. Then they haven't stepped on United States soil, and we can't take them.
It's just a disaster down there. All right, back with more in a second.
So frustrating.
Doesn't make any sense how this you can't solve this.
No.
It just doesn't seem like it should be that difficult. Following the 2016 election, I wrote a piece about the things I learned. Here's my observations for the election. Let me give you number 5. This is back in 2016. I believe we posted this the day after the election. Do we have the text here for that? There it is. If the popular votes hold, as we know they did, this will be the second time in 5 elections that Democrats have won the popular vote and lost. They are going to come after the Electoral College, and a lot of people on both sides will listen to them. The argument for it is nuanced and takes using your noodle, not exactly America's strong suit at the moment, which all that I stand by completely. And it looks like it's true now. We have today, first day of Democratic control. One of the first things they have done, they've introduced a bill to overturn the Electoral College. And while it seems like a crazy reach, it's like one of those things where you're like changing the very fundamentals of elections. It's like one of those, you listen to sports radio and someone has a crazy football rule change that's never going to happen. That's what it kind of feels like to me. Mm-hmm. The one reason you do have a chance, I think, of it right now is that the only Republican supporter of getting rid of the Electoral College that I've ever seen in my entire life, it happens to be Donald Trump. And this is not one of those things where Donald Trump in 2000, when he was running as a Reform Party candidate, said it. He's saying it now. He said it after his win. He won the Electoral College, of course, and lost the popular vote. Though, and this is a valid point from him, if it was a popular vote contest, I would have gone after the popular vote. That's not what I was doing here, which is true. And Hillary should have learned about that one. But he supports this. And I don't know that he could get a lot of Republicans on his side, but if the Democrats support it, and he can convince 20 loyalists in the Senate to come along with him, there's a chance that you could do something. Now, I don't know procedurally if you could actually overturn it by just passing a law. You may need to do more than that. I mean, this is...
should be a constitutional amendment.
I would think so. But again, who cares about the Constitution these days?
Nobody.
It doesn't seem like anybody does. Maybe the Supreme Court would say they had to do more, but that they are coming after it. They want this. Because if you're a Democrat and you have to campaign all over, Iowa, and all over Michigan and Georgia, and you're bouncing all over the country. Mm-hmm. Here, you go to Los Angeles, you basically set up camp, and you're doing Southern California, just trying to win as many votes out of Southern California as you can. Their population of voters are all together in cities, so it's fantastic for them. They will know how to exploit this well, and I think that's why they're going after it.
Yeah, if you want North and South Dakota to never matter again,
never
in a national election, get rid of the Electoral College. And that's what will happen. And, the representatives of those states should be yelling at the top of their lungs right now, because you will never see a presidential candidate in Fargo, North Dakota, ever again. Helena, Montana, never again. Good luck.
This scares the crap out of me. It really does, because this is how this is what makes us different than Europe. It really does. I mean, over there, if you have some crazy communist, or somebody like that wants to promise everybody a bunch of free stuff, whatever, get a small group of people that turns into several thousand and several million that'll agree with you. Over there, they have a chance of actually doing some damage. Over here, we don't. The founders built the system, quite frankly, because they were scared to death of this. They were scared to death of populism. Alexis de Tocqueville wrote in Democracy in America, he called it the tyranny of the majority. And it's exactly what he described. He said it's a small group of people that eventually convince the masses that will then oppress the smaller people. I saw a smaller number of people. I saw right after the elections, so it was right before the inauguration of Donald Trump. They got, I think it's Martin Sheen and a few other stars that came out, and they were actually quoting the Federalist Papers, trying to say, do you remember that?
Yep.
It was like, oh my gosh. It was like kind of like a very dramatic, the more you know type video. Mm-hmm. And they were like, this was, the Electoral College was supposed to be, it was made to protect us from a demagogue. No, it wasn't. That's not at all what it was for. No. They were quoting a Hamilton Federalist Papers, and I'd like to, I remember because I just did this, I just happened to have this up. I did some research before, and I was reading through Madison's Federalist Number 10, and this is amazing. Madison was talking about governments that are under direct democracy, and he goes, those governments, quote, have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths. They knew exactly where this road leads
to. They did.
Exactly.
They did. This
is what we have been protected from. And now they're threatening to screw that up.
That's why every chance I get when people call this a democracy, it's not a democracy. We've got to get that through people's heads. It's a republic.
And we had an assist from Prager University on this one, actually. They had a video out about the Electoral College. Here's a clip of it.
The founders had no intention of creating a pure majority rule democracy. They knew from careful study of history what most have forgotten today or never learned. Pure democracies do not work. They implode. Democracy has been colorfully described as two wolves and a lamb voting on what's for dinner. In a pure democracy, bare majorities can easily tyrannize the rest of the country. The founders wanted to avoid this at all costs. This is why we have three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. It's why each state has 2 senators, no matter what its population, but also different numbers of representatives based entirely on population. It's why it takes a supermajority in Congress and 3/4 of the states to change the Constitution. And it's why we have the Electoral College.
I mean, it's
Ta-da!
totally true. I mean, this was a big debate. I mean, the idea between representatives and 2 per state was that was a compromise, right? I mean, they were able to compromise to that so that these small states don't get completely wiped off the map because no one would care. The cities would run the policy, they'd run everything. And that's not what they intended here.
Watching that, it reminds me of I always think we put too much emphasis on who is elected president.
Yes.
I really don't care. Or Ocasio-Cortez or whoever.
Yeah, well, that especially.
Who cares? Look, the way the system is built with the Electoral College and with the 3 branches of government, it's supposed to not run. That's what no one gets, and everyone trying to analyze it and say, this is how we do it to make it more efficient. No, it's not supposed to be efficient. I personally hate it. I hated the past few years when we controlled every single branch of government, and it was the party that I used to stand by, which it's very difficult to do anymore. I don't like it. I don't want the government to be running lockstep. But even when it was set up to run lockstep together, it still didn't run efficiently. We didn't get anything done.
Right.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes, it is. It's supposed to be hard to get things done.
Because only large numbers who agree can get something done.
And when it's easy, you get really bad things pushed through very quickly.
Yes.
It's like, whoa, wait, too late, sorry.
Take your time. I mean, imagine a pure democracy after, a shooting, right? The day after the shooting, they'd put votes up there with massive gun control and you'd never get the rights back.
Right.
This is why the Democrats try so hard to use emotion in these situations, because they know if they can get people emotional for a long enough period of time after a terrible tragedy, they can get these rights taken away, or at least attempt to. So far, they haven't been able to do it for long enough because this government is specifically designed to stop them from doing it.
And the only time it didn't was Obamacare, and it completely kind of fascinates me. It's crazy. And you see the way it was done. The way it was done, it's probably never going away. I don't know if they can. But the Supreme Court judge actually ruled in their favor, which is insane.
Don't get me started on Roberts. All right, we're back in a second here on the News and Why It Matters. We leave you with this message from the Democrat Party.
And when your son looks at you and says, Mama, look, you won, bullies don't win. And I said, baby, they don't. Because we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach the
Yeah!